Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers lose in Philly and may have lost Anthony Davis as well. Not a great Tuesday. We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's always free and never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 27,000 subscribers to the channel, Andy, all of whom are hoping to erase the memory of what happened on Tuesday in Philadelphia from their brains as quickly as they possibly can. But really what they're hoping is that Anthony Davis, who was injured as the Lakers lost 118-104 to a very shorthanded Philly squad in Philly. Anthony Davis, though, is the big story of this game. He leaves after 10 minutes of playing time and does not return. The Lakers called it an abdominal strain. Asked after the game if he had any information, JJ Redick simply said, no.
It was difficult to know for sure, particularly for us not being in the building, but also there was so much else happening. Whether JJ's terse response on this was him being worried about Anthony Davis's availability moving forward, being pissed off, mystified, frustrated, whatever about the team's performance tonight, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Maybe he doesn't even have to make a decision, but I will say this, JJ made no effort to potentially downplay this as, oh, you know what, precautionary. And, you know, we realized the game was getting out of hand early. We thought there was no reason to put him back in, which may have been the reason. I'm just saying I didn't read that from JJ's response.
No, and usually they'll say that, the game was out of hand. By the time we got clearance for him to play, it seemed silly. It didn't, we don't want to put him at risk. It's a long season and all that. No, he just said no. And, if you're somebody who is responsible for Anthony Davis's Defensive Player of the Year tape, or you're trying to put together like an MVP or a first team All NBA reel or something like that, as it tends to be with the Lakers, what you do is instead of showing highlights of Anthony Davis, you just show all the time that he doesn't play and what happens to this team, particularly on the defensive side when he doesn't, because like the second Anthony Davis left the game on Tuesday, the Lakers completely collapsed.
Looking up right now, points in the paint, 56 for Philadelphia. I don't know exactly how many of those came after Anthony Davis left the game, but I'm willing to bet many.
It was more than a couple.
Yeah, the Lakers turned the ball over 22 total times. Turnovers, even in games the Lakers are playing reasonably well, turnovers have become a much bigger problem for this team. They consistently become an issue in games that the Lakers don't play well, and they gave up 27 points in the process with those turnovers. Combine that with 23 points off the break for Philly, plus Tyrese Maxey going absolutely ham. 43 points, 15 of 26 from the field. He actually checked back into the game about halfway through the fourth quarter with the game clearly way the hell out of hand. I imagine with the express purpose of trying to get 50. And frankly, I don't blame him because A, he earned it. B, what the hell else has there been to celebrate in Philly?
Right, I was about to say, if you're
might as well give those fans something.
Yeah, anything to cheer for and all that.
He was sensational in this
game. He really
game.
was. And it didn't matter what the Lakers tried, who the Lakers tried. It was Max Christie. DFS took some minutes there. Bronny James, when he came into the first half, his first job was to try to check Tyrese Maxey. That did not go well.
I believe his second job was to pass up shots or turn the ball over.
That part he did better with.
Yeah. Did that
he
part
was-
all right.
And we'll talk about it. People were angry about Bronny, and I think by the end of the game realized there were other things to be upset
we
about.
told people that there was a good chance he was going to play as long as Gabe wasn't available.
Bronny was the symptom, not the disease.
No.
And so...
And it was we'll get into it. It was a very difficult spot for him to be in the first place.
It was. And so the Lakers ended up down Anthony Davis. They were down Jared Vanderbilt, who was sitting out this one for injury maintenance. Not surprising that he's not playing in both ends of a back-to-back at this point. Gabe Vincent didn't play. And then Dorian Finney-Smith and Jackson Hayes in the first half each picked up about 36 fouls in 4.5 minutes. Like the Lakers had some serious foul trouble, and that was contributing to an already wonky rotation. And
Rui did return at least, and
yes,
played reasonably well. I mean,
all right.
13 points, 6 and 9 from the field. I mean, get into it maybe a little bit later. To me, the one and only bright spot in this game was Dalton Knecht, who is starting to look more like the guy that everybody was most optimistic about a couple months ago. Like he's really starting to play considerably better.
Yeah, that slump that he was really fighting in. I'm not ready to say he's out of it, but he seems comfortable again. Which is always a good sign. You can sometimes just look at guys and tell when they feel better. Like the NBA is hard, and especially as a rookie, even an older one, you're going to have major swings in how you play. And the Lakers need him to be this guy more than the guy he was 2.5
The one period in the game in the first half where it looked like maybe the Lakers were going to find a way to win without Anthony Davis, it was during a stretch where Dalton was hitting shots.
Yeah. And look, I mean, this is a, I want to do two things. I'm going to try to do two things here. I do not want to excuse losing to the Sixers. Even without Anthony Davis, Davis leaves the game. You're shorthanded other guys. Like you go down that roster and, you still have LeBron, you still have Austin Reeves. It's a day for then Max Christie to step up. It's a day for Dorian Finney-Smith to step up. Knecht did his job coming off the bench, I think, but okay, it's not to get super cliche, but it's
plus the Sixers are missing half their roster too. Next
man up mentality, and you're playing Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Eric Gordon, not exactly
Yabasule.
Yeah, I mean, again, decent enough players, and your roster, what's left over, is not like light years better than theirs. But so I do not want to say like there's like, oh well, this stuff happens. Like this was still a very winnable game and one that the Lakers needed to win. What it shows though, and what it reflects in terms of where the Lakers were without AD and short their third point guard, or their third guard, I should say, if you want to count LeBron and AD, or LeBron and Reeves as 1 and 2, is very revealing about the roster generally. And so I want to talk about that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. I love live events, whether sports, music, theater, comedy. One of my favorite memories from 2024 was Hamilton on Broadway last spring. My family and I went on a trip to New York, and the show was amazing. My daughter got to meet basically the entire cast after the show. They were all really nice. She took selfies with everyone. Like, it was a really, really fun day. And Game Time has made it easier to get tickets for events like Hamilton with features like Game Time Picks, and that just filters out all of the fluff and the verbiage that you don't need. You're just looking for incredible deals on great seats. And Game Time Picks allows you not to have to waste your time sifting through thousands of tickets. They offer great seats and unbelievable prices. The app's all-in pricing shows the entire total cost upfront, so there's no surprise fees at the checkout. Panoramic seat view, so you know exactly what it's going to look like wherever you sit. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
All right, so quick reminder, the postcast with Dave Palais after every game. We obviously are doing something every 5 days a week plus weekends. We'll do those extra shows following games, but want to check out all the content you can. Also, sign up for the Locked On Lakers newsletter. You go to lockedondaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers, and you're doing yourself a favor because you get great content. You're doing us a favor because, good for us to get this newsletter out the door. Anyway, again, Andy, I am not excusing a loss. I am particularly not excusing a loss where the Lakers got blown out against a really bad Sixers team, where they turned the ball over a ton, where Redick again talked about the mental focus and all these things being a problem. You lose because the team gets hot, but you're generally playing reasonably tight basketball. It's Ricky Council IV's day. Like, this weird stuff happens in the NBA, but the Lakers did not control the things that they should be able to control, even down a bunch of guys. Again, play well, execute well like good teams do, even when they're missing their stars. That's the starting point.
Outscored 48-32 in the second quarter, and that's when it really started just going sideways for the Lakers. And I tweeted out the second quarter was yet another reminder that the Lakers are a much different team without Anthony Davis. And by different, I mean way, way worse. And I mean, Anthony Davis is the best player on this team on both sides of the ball by, at this point, a very notable margin. Like, he's the most dependable player on this team. And we've said many times, hell, we were saying this last year, the Lakers are going to go as far as Anthony Davis can take them, which doesn't mean that they become excused, as you said, for not finding ways to win whenever Anthony Davis isn't available. But you have to acknowledge the reality that they become a radically different team without him.
And that's what I want to talk about here is the radical difference, because we saw on Tuesday glaring neon whatever, exactly where the Lakers roster is deficient. It is deficient in serviceable, reliable backup centers or starting caliber centers where there's shorts and bigs. Anthony Davis is correct when he tells Shams Charania at ESPN the Lakers, need a center. He's not wrong. This was not a good night for Jackson Hayes. He was in foul trouble a lot. He played hard. Jackson Hayes always plays hard. Christian Coloco, again, kind of the thing. Like, you don't want to be needing in a position that you have to rely on Christian Coloco to play above level. That's not fair to him. They also should not be as dependent on Gabe Vincent as they are, because they do not have another point guard if Vincent can't play. That is why Bronny James was in this game. It wasn't for stunts. It wasn't because they wanted to get a TNT game and get him on TV or any of these other things that I've seen floating around Lakers Twitter. It's because Gabe Vincent was hurt. Jalen Hood-Schifino is hurt. Not that he's all that great either. And the Lakers needed somebody else, as it was clearly demonstrated the night before, who could dribble.
Right. And Shake Milton has been really, really tough to put out on the court. And then without Anthony Davis, too, beyond what you lose in 80s talent on both sides of the ball, and JJ talked afterwards about how defensively their shell was not existent and the lane was wide open, and you lose the ability to make up for the former when Anthony Davis is not there protecting the latter. But there's also the element of offensively, you lose that hub, and there's nobody else that the Lakers can use to play inside out with other than LeBron, except the problem with that is if you're using LeBron to play inside out, and you only have one other true ball handler slash facilitator in Reeves, your offense just starts becoming very difficult to make function. Like half of the things that Redick would be looking to do, or plays that he would look to call, sets he'd try to make happen, you can't do them. Like you can't run that sort of offense, forget through Jackson Hayes or Coloco. That's obviously not an option. But like even someone like Rui, who can score in the post and has some, he's clearly got utility as a scorer. That's his best skill set, but he's not a good enough passer, and he's not even a good enough presence in the post that you're automatically going to start drawing doubles, and then you have the opportunity to kick the ball out. Everything swings around. Like you just become incredibly limited in ways too that, quite frankly, Jonas Valanciunas is not going to solve that problem either. If you had to run him out there for a few weeks, if knock on wood, this hopefully does not happen, Anthony Davis misses time or whatever. Like even somebody like Nikola Vucevic, who, if say you brought him in there, obviously he'd help you offensively, but then you have to worry about everything you give back on the other end. It's just, they are a fundamentally far different and worse team without AD before you even get into the other skill sets that they are missing right now.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that becomes glaringly obvious is the Lakers are really short on guys who can break people down off the dribble, because you look at what Maxey did in this game, and a lot of it, look, I mean, I'll use Bronny as an example. He did actually thought the best thing he did in this game was sort of trying to stay with, react to, get over screens, do all that stuff, to try when he was matched up with Maxey. I'm not saying it worked. Maxey kind of worked him over in the first half when Bronny came in, but he was reacting, he contested the jumpers. Maxey averages 30 points, whatever it is, 20-something points a game. A lot of people struggle to stop Tyrese Maxey, particularly one-on-one and open floor. But the Lakers don't have that. And so when Anthony Davis isn't there to sort of be that hub of an offense and help spread things around and force defenses to move, the Lakers really have to, be incredibly precise, which they were not, even close on Tuesday. But they also just don't have that fail-safe of a guy who can get into the lane or break somebody down or come off a screen and create in isolation, because LeBron really struggles with that now. It's not really his game anymore. AR sort of can do it, but like, you get into some really wonky possessions when you try to set up AR just to go one-on-one to do that. And after that, there's really no one.
Well, especially
a little bit of connect, but that's
Philly has some decent defenders that they can put on Reeves to try to, we've seen Reeves struggles with ball pressure. I mean, frankly, this whole team can, but Reeves in particular can struggle with that. And Philly has people that they can put on him to make that worse. LeBron turned the ball over 8 times in this game against 9 assists. I mean, he was efficient from the field, but those turnovers they're an absolute killer. Like there was a sequence in the second quarter where, out of a timeout, LeBron attempted a post up and the ball was just literally ripped from him, and the Sixers didn't end up scoring. But the next possession, LeBron almost turned the ball over again, then drove inside and got blocked. And he was overall efficient from the field, but you could just see, particularly on the second end of a back-to-back, and that's always going to be an issue for LeBron at this stage of his career. You could see the fatigue in the way he was playing. I think it led to, we've talked about this before, a lot of LeBron walking the ball up the court, which if you give a defense the opportunity to set against the offense without Anthony Davis and some of the other guys out there, you're going to be able to pressure them into a lot of, frankly, bad decisions.
I think that's absolutely true. And it's just, there are times in teams, and like Philadelphia, like most bad teams, is basically reduced to, a hyper athletic, star caliber player in Maxey, and then just a bunch of other athletes. Like that's really what they are. And we see sort of this trend time and time again where teams that can fly around, can jump, are bouncy, can put pressure, like they cause the Lakers trouble because the Lakers are a lot of things, but they are not an athletic group. And so if they are, the turnovers, like you talk about LeBron with turnovers and giving up possessions and all these other things, like I am games like this, I leave undecided as to what they need more, another guard or a big. I think you can make rock solid arguments for either. It's why that hypothetical Kessler-Sexton trade is so enticing, because then you get both. But it's not a real, until it happens, I'm just not going to consider it a real thing. What happens if Anthony Davis misses a week? Not trying to scare you, Andy. I just want to get your thoughts about what the Lakers might do. Let's say if Anthony Davis has to miss 10 days or something like that. We'll get to it next. This is the fourth game, or he didn't miss Tuesday night's game, but
this was the
third game that
of the road trip.
No, I meant I was going to say that Anthony Davis has sort of functionally missed this season. I think he's missed 3, and then now sort of 3 3/4 games or whatever it is. He's been in the lineup pretty much uninterrupted all year long. The Lakers haven't had to play multiple games consecutively without Anthony Davis. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but it's Washington on Thursday. It's New York on Saturday, and then Clippers, I believe, following that again.
Yep.
So, Washington, okay, maybe you can beat them without AD, but we also saw what AD just did to the Wizards. So, handy fellow to have around. And then those last 2 games get real tricky. So, like, what do you do if you're the Lakers and that AD might miss 10 days? Other than pray?
I mean, it's a 2-pronged question. Are you asking what do they do to try to stave off the 10 days? Or are you asking what do they do before February 6th? Are you asking both? Like,
go all of it. Like, go with your heart.
As far as the trade deadline goes, I would likely treat things exactly the same, unless I have an indication that AD is going to miss
weeks,
a month or 2 months. Because at that point, I'm not expending assets to try to save the Lakers, unless it's a type of deal that, let's just say, for example, even though it's been made clear by reports, very unlikely to happen. Shams Charania from ESPN reported that De'Aaron Fox's camp has made it clear to Sacramento, we'd like you to trade Fox. And unspoken with that, or maybe spoken internally, is he ain't going to resign. So you might as well move him while you've got value and he's under contract for 1 more year, extension eligible, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
The Lakers are reportedly not a team on his destination list. Reportedly, the number 1 is San Antonio. But unless somebody like De'Aaron Fox comes up where, even if it doesn't help you for this season, you're setting up the Lakers' future. Like, you can't make a short-term type deal if Anthony Davis is going to miss a month, a month and a half, whatever. Short-term, it would help if everybody is available. It'd help if Gabe Vincent's back. And everybody has to go out there with the mindset of, we cannot F around. Like, we have to treat every single possession like the equivalent of the bus in speed, that if it dips below 55 miles an hour, it explodes. Like, you have to be that careful, and you have to be that precise, and you have to be treating everything with that type of importance. That's how you get through a couple weeks without AD.
Yeah, I think that's a question of focus. That is being dialed into what you are doing, being conscious. It is hard. Like, every trip down the hold that screen the exact time longer. You got to hold it a little longer. You got to, all of that stuff, fight through is supposed to go under. Every little piece of detail needs to be there and stay there each time. So that's not easy to do. But if they're going to be an execution team, and they keep calling themselves that, like they're not, meaning they're not going to overwhelm you with talent there, but like when they execute, they get a game plan, execute a game plan, so they win a lot of games. So that's what you need to fall back on without Anthony Davis. It's harder because you're easier to defend, you have less talent and all these other things, and it is definitely your best player. But that's what you're left with. And then it's time for Max Christie to contribute a little bit more. It's Dorian Finney-Smith can't just play good wing defense. He needs to give you 14 points. Like, all that stuff also needs to happen. Rui,
you get Rui more shots.
Yeah, whatever it is. The other thing that you do if you are without Anthony Davis for any stretch of time is you take those stupid Lake Show jerseys and you throw them in the nearest body of water, tied up in like a trunk with like chains wrapped around it and all that. So it has no choice but to sink. The Lakers now are 1-9 in their City Connect jerseys, meaning they are 25-10, I believe, without them. In any of their other uniform combinations, and they have a few, they are 25-10 when they don't wear those stupid City Connect cursed jerseys. And to top that all off, there was a guy, and he posted this, and I've clicked out of it, and I apologize, but he noted that the Lakers, if you go back to their last, they've not won a game on January 28th since 2004. So a tremendous amount of dark magic at play for the Lakers. They are not only forcing the Lakers to lose games now, those jerseys are starting to hurt people, and they are growing more powerful, and the Lakers need to have some sort of intervention here, because they cannot keep wearing these things. People are already getting hurt.
If AD misses any time, we know it's going to be rough. Like they are a far, far better team with AD. They are a far, far more functional team with AD. And again, hopefully we'll get some details between now and the Wizards in terms of diagnosis. There is always a chance that they realized this thing was getting out of hand. It was the second end of a back-to-back. They saw the collective energy of everyone else and said, you know what, it's not worth potentially aggravating it more under these circumstances. We'll eat the L and move forward. Hopefully that's the case. Again, that was not JJ's vibe, but he's an intense fella, so there could be many things explaining that. Do want to mention again, we pointed out this was a good game for Dalton Knecht, and it becomes a different deal for the Lakers. And also Dalton Knecht made the Rising Stars team, so he will be part of exciting All-Star Weekend, so that's cool for him. But the last 5 games, he has shot from behind the arc 62% against Philadelphia, missed all of his threes against Charlotte, but then 43% against Golden State, 75% against Boston, and 50% against Washington. So, and Washington was smaller sample size, but the last 4 games he played about 15 minutes or more. And he also, too, not even counting the garbage time, because he had 24 points tonight, but he was playing in the fourth quarter in garbage time. Side note, I also thought it was very weird that JJ Redick, to open the fourth, didn't have Knecht on the floor while they were trying to get back into this game. LeBron was still playing, so it's not like they had conceded. I thought it was odd that JJ wasn't playing Dalton Knecht, one of the only guys on the team tonight that was able to make shots at all, and you're trying to make up a deficit in a hurry. I thought that was a weird decision by, I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
right. It doesn't matter, but it's still, it's strange.
It was.
I feel like the staff kind of checked out on this game. I think they were annoyed. I was wondering why LeBron and Reeves were still in the game. 6-7 minutes left. I mean, there were a few things going on where I was like, I think they're just angry and kind of checked out.
I was honestly wondering if LeBron was just trying to get a triple-double.
Maybe they clearly stopped, calling and running plays and stuff like that. There was, so that part of it. Also, it is Lucas at KBS Lake Show 24 who put that out there. This was their 11th straight loss on January 28th. So I just want to make sure we acknowledge the sender of the tweet. So again, you got to plan these things better. You can't have the dark magic of January 28th combined with the dark magic of these uniforms and expect a good thing to happen. And now Anthony Davis got hurt. So Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 27,000 subscribers. We will see everyone tomorrow and get you ready for the game and the other game coming up this weekend. Everyone have a good day.